Hello friends. As now we all know what is a web page. Web pages are pages which will be having some content which you require. If you want to search for Facebook, you'll type on Google Facebook and one page will appear. That's what is called as web page. In this video, we will be learning about different types of web pages, that is static and dynamic web page. Let's begin. Let's first talk about static web page. Now you have a client. Client can be any laptop, computer, tablet, iPad, mobile, anything. Here I'm taking a laptop and this is a client. Now here you can see I have a server. I hope you remember I have explained you what is a server. Now every client is having a web client. In our laptop we have a web client which is called as web browsers, right? In servers, we have a disk kind of thing, and that disk contains all the web pages. It is storing all the web pages there. It is called as server disk or database of web pages. So if we talk about Facebook, so Facebook is a website where first you have a login page. Now, for every person, login page is same, right? So when you request the Facebook login page to the server will send the request to the disk and it will find that pre-designed, pre-developed or predefined web page from the disk. When it will get the Facebook login page from the server disk, it will send it back to the client and the client will be able to see the Facebook login page. This is called as response. Now, if we talk about our login page, as I said, for every person login page is same. But if we talk about our profile page, then page design is same for everyone, but content or the data differs for everyone. Let's see this example. Now, from the client, when I'm offering a Facebook login page, goes to the server as a request, then it goes to the disk server, and then it comes back as a response, and you can see the Facebook login page. But when we check out for Facebook profile page, then it is different for everybody. That's why those pages really doesn't exist. We have to create those pages on user request. It means when client requests for a web page which is dynamic web page, server already doesn't have that page. That means in the disk server that web page is not present. So server has to design the web page for the user for which profile page user is requesting. So server needs to create those page and that's why the design for dynamic web page changes. Now what happens in dynamic web page? Now remember when you open Facebook you have to register. When you register you fill in all the details of yours and it gets saved in the database. And that is how a database looks like. Now web server works with HTML language. The problem is HTML cannot interact with database because database is a different language, HTML is a different language. Just like if I know English and the other person knows Kannada, we can't speak. Like that, server is written in HTML language and database is written in database language. They can't speak to each other. They cannot communicate or interact with each other. That is why we require some advanced application server in between the server and the database. The server then sends the request to the application server and the dynamic web page is then created. and then it goes to the database. From the database, all the details of the user is recorded and it sends back as a response to back to the server. Then from the server, it is sent back to the client. And that is how we can see the dynamic web page. So in short, if I say what is static and what is dynamic web page, it's nothing but static is a page which is already developed and it is developed using HTML, CSS and JS. Static web page is not dynamically rendered on a server but is still served by a server. Page content can change by a JavaScript. Static doesn't mean that the page never changes. It is just pre-built during development. So the web page is already developed. It is already developed and kept in the disk server. You have to just request for it and it will fastly take it out and send you as a response. But what happens in dynamic is it's a server side language. So it's need application server programming to do and create the web page for you guys. It returns dynamically generated HTML page. So it returns a generated HTML page, which is not pre-built. It has to be generated. Dynamic web page is not involved in page rendering after serving it. Dynamic does not mean that there is no HTML page being served. It is just built dynamically for each request. That means every person who is using Facebook and is having a Facebook profile, for every Facebook profile, the data will be different. So all those different profile pages are dynamic web pages, and it is just built dynamically for each people's request. In a more simple manner, the word static refers to something that is fixed, that does not move or change in any way. This is enough to understand what a static page is all about. No elements on this page are changed when accessing it. Yes, and it also refers to the website being fixed in terms of page numbers. A fixed number of pages are delivered just the way it is designed and stored. The second word is dynamic, and the dynamic refers to elements that are continuously changing. When you open a Facebook profile page, you can go to friends list, and your friends list will not be equal to your friends friend list. So it continuously changes and interactive and functional. Instead of being simply informational, dynamic websites include aspects that are characterized by interactivity and functionality. They are more complex in terms of building and design, but they are also more versatile. So I hope you guys understood different types of web pages, that is static and dynamic web page. Thank you.